Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And with the news that Tory MP Afriyie has been made bankrupt, there's a lot of talk about a by-election. But will the MP be forced to step down? He certainly doesn't want to. And who would gain from such a by-election anyway? But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So I have to say I'd forgotten about this one until this week. I remember reading about this MP absolutely ages ago as being in potential bother over unpaid taxes. And I avoid judging people based on financial affairs as long as they're honest. But, you know, my goodness, how do you manage your finances so badly that you owe, well, £1 million in taxes that you can't pay? I mean, since paying taxes myself via self-assessment, I can sort of see how you can get into some trouble. You know, the way it works in the UK is that the tax year ends early in April, but you don't have to complete your tax return until pretty much the end of the calendar year. Then you don't pay the tax due, you can do that at the end of the following January. So there could be like a year and a half between some of your earnings and paying the tax on it. And let's say you make a load of money, you go into self-employment, you make a load of money in a year and you expect it to continue for some time in the future. I can see how people would arrange their finances. So they've just started the self-employment, invest what they can in that first year, pay their taxes with the earnings from the following year. And you know, and as long as you keep rolling it each year, it'll sort of work, maybe chip away over a period of time. And I can sort of see how if suddenly the income disappears, like something goes wrong, you can get yourself into trouble. In fact, there has been a change from HMRC in how they collect taxes now. I noticed, because I've been doing self-assessment now for some years, and I've noticed in the past couple of years, they do it differently now. So what they now do is they try and get people to pay in advance. So I've just filled in a tax return for going from April 2021 till the end of March 2022, right? I've done that tax return now, but I don't have to pay the tax until the end of January. But I already have effectively, or most of it, because they got me to do it in instalments based on the previous year. Now, I made a little bit more last year than the year before, so I'll pay up the balance as well, and then pay half again in January and another half in July. So they're trying to get people to pay in advance now, which is they didn't used to. And they keep sending emails to chase you up. It's not late. I've had 2 emails this week and it's like, yeah, you've told me, I've done, the email's telling me, yeah, thanks for doing your self-assessment. Now you need to pay by the end of January. It's like, yeah, I know. Then they send another one going, is there a problem here? It's like, no, it's not the end of January yet. And they do keep chasing you up, even if you've got a long time still to pay. And this is new. When I first started it, I had a hell of a job trying to get them to take my money. And I wondered if the sudden loss of income from self-employed people during 2020, you know, with the pandemic, meant that suddenly a lot of people did get themselves into that sort of trouble. But still, £1 million in unpaid taxes, that is a big boo-boo. But like I say, mistakes happen. I don't judge. I've seen nothing which suggests he did anything dodgy or corrupt. So in the absence of evidence of anything untoward, you know, I don't want to, you know, throw any ill will towards him. Happy to accept he just messed up. Oh, but it was a big time mess up, wasn't it? That being said, part of the issue seems to be that he has a house that he paid £4 million for. And he claims he can't sell it because of a tough market. Now I'm thinking, well, okay, I can get how you're going to struggle to sell it for what you paid for it or even full market value right now. But if you paid £4 million for it, as reported, then surely you can sell that, even if it's a knockdown price, to pay off that the whole debt is £1.7 million apparently, and still have enough left over to buy yourself a house. I think the average house price in his constituency is about 600 and something thousand pounds. So he's still going to have enough for that, surely. So there is still a suggestion that he did probably have the means to deal with the debt. Certainly it seems to, the court seems to suggest that he probably could have done more and he's not going to do anything. But, you know, anyway, that's not for me to worry about. That's for the courts to worry about. However, a lot of people now think, well, that's it, Afriyie is bankrupt, he'll have to step down, trigger a by-election. It did used to be the case that bankruptcy would automatically disqualify an MP. They used to have like 6 months to sort it out because, you know, if it was a bankruptcy that they thought was unfair, obviously you can appeal it. So, or you deal with it in some way to get it annulled. So what used to happen was if an MP was declared bankrupt, right, you've got 6 months to basically sort it out or you are disqualified as an MP. But in 2002, a new law was passed, which means that this isn't automatically the case anymore. The Enterprise Act 2002. Now, this doesn't mean that Afriyie is definitely safe. If he refuses to comply with the terms of the bankruptcy or he's suspected of hiding assets, then it's different. But as long as he's going along with what the court has ordered, as long as he remains honest about his financial affairs and assets, or at least isn't caught not being, then he can remain an MP. And he has said he doesn't intend to step down, at least not yet. He did say he won't stand at the next election. But that being said, I've been looking into it a little bit. And although the 2002 law doesn't kick an MP out for being made bankrupt while they're an MP, I think, if I'm reading it right, it does still bar them for standing for election. So if that's right, he'd have no choice in the matter anyway. Him saying, oh, I'll stand down at the next election. And he said he'll stand down at the next election because, you know, we got Brexit done. We did all the things, right? It's like, yeah, mate, I don't think you've got much choice here, have you? Obviously, the opposition are pressing the issue. Like someone from Labour is reported to have said, not content with bankrupting the country, Tory MPs are now being declared bankrupt themselves. The Lib Dems have also called for him to step down. But as far as I can, well, it is just party politics now. That is just normal party politics. In reality, objectively, you know, there isn't anything even massively to be gained from stepping down. I mean, the polling right now shows Labour winning a massive majority in the country. Like, if there was a general election tomorrow, you look at the polls, it's like, yeah, Labour would just sweep up. Now, usual caution here. There isn't going to be a general election tomorrow. They don't spring them on you like that. We haven't had an election campaign. In an election campaign, the Tories always boost their support because they spend a lot of money on getting the best strategists and they're more disciplined at following the advice of those strategists. Also, during an actual election, lots of people do start to think strategically. They will, you know, they may be outraged at the Tories now. These might be natural Tory voters. I don't vote for them. But they'll hold their nose during the election. You know, so the unpopular party can see their support boosted, and that's basically always the Tory party. So the current polling is not how it's actually going to look come the election. You know, let's be under no illusions there. But the point is that as dominant as Labour are looking in the polls, Afriyie's seat of Windsor is still as safe as houses. Not as safe as his house, much safer than that. You know, electoral calculus has the Tories retaining the seat, albeit with a massively reduced share of the vote. It actually looks like, you know, there might only be a few percent in it, but it still does have the Conservatives winning that seat. You know, still, you can see how Labour would like a crack at it. You know, really flex their muscles in a tough contest, test out their campaign team now. But unless something spectacular happens, which you can't rule out, the Tories would still win. It might even give Sunak a bit of a boost. In public, of course, it is possible that Johnson supporters will just castigate him for the loss of vote share. So he could be buggered either way. But on balance, opposition parties, yes, they will welcome any by-election of a Tory seat. Why not? There's nothing to lose. If Sunak loses the seat, his leadership is massively weakened, both in public and within his party. If he wins, then it could still be weakened within his party if the result ends up being too tight. After all, if the Tories can only just hold on to a seat like Windsor, then it looks very bad for the many marginal constituencies they hold. And these Johnson supporters, you know, you can try and tell them, oh yeah, but, you know, he still won it. Johnson lost North Shropshire, which is just as safe. They'll ignore that. You know, but many of these constituencies are lost anyway. I mean, I keep trying to explain. Although Johnson won a large majority in terms of seats won in 2019, it was not a result of a huge surge in votes. He got not very many more votes than Theresa May did in 2017, and she lost her majority. And she made a right arse of the campaign. Johnson didn't really add on many votes in 2019. He just won a lot of seats by focusing the votes. You know, he won a lot of seats by very small margins, mostly as a result of conditions which won't exist at the next election. So yeah, Labour might like to test out their campaigning skills in even a by-election like this. The opportunity to fight a close contest in one of the Toryest of Tory seats in the country would be very useful for them. I have to say, though, looking at the polling, it's not at all clear who should be challenging the Tories, though. There is an argument for both the Lib Dems and Labour, and that's a problem, you see, because that would suggest they'd both want to go for it. So, yeah, unless one of them decided to let the other one have a clear run. But either way, it wouldn't be welcome for Sunak. But it looks like, you know, Labour and the Lib Dems will have to forget about this one. The MP said they're not standing down. And from a legal point of view, as far as I can tell, they don't have to stand down. As long as, I say, the courts don't determine that he is refusing to comply with the terms of the bankruptcy or he's suspected of hiding assets. As long as that's the case, as long as he, you know, does what the court tells him now, he can stay as an MP. I'm sure he's got the support of the party leader for that as well. No good comes of a by-election for retaining a seat for the party of government. Never. You know, because if they lose, the public are therefore forced to consider that a change of government is coming, especially when it's a safe seat. Even if they win, but with reduced vote share, it still looks like they're going backwards. And the chances of Sunak fighting any by-election where he actually improves vote share or even just maintains it is pretty much zero. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.